Mr. Tice, can I get your initial reaction to what we heard from the Chancellor's statement today?
Well, this was a spending review splurging hundreds of billions of borrowed money, taxpayers' cash, because the government is so terrified of Reform UK. They kept looking across us in the chamber. Look, some of the spending is sensible on infrastructure projects, but I fear much of it will be wasteful. You shouldn't be spending tens of billions on carbon capture projects that'll go over budget, that'll make no difference to anything, an unproven technology. Even the Greens agree with us on that. And I fear that many of the public sector pay rises with no performance or productivity requirements will just be banked and go down the Swanee. So, yeah, I'm really concerned. I'm concerned that we've seen since the October budget from this Chancellor, 250,000 jobs have been destroyed. And that's just a collapse in confidence from the business community.
So do you think that this spending review will result in any tax rises in the autumn?
I think it's almost inevitable because they're borrowing all this money. Government borrowing is going through the roof. The bond markets are very concerned. The cost of government borrowing is going up, and I think growth is going down. It may disappear back down to zero. You can't tax your way out of a crisis. Taxes are already at a 70-year high. You can't spend your way out of a crisis. You've got to grow your way out of a crisis. And all the policies from this Labour regime, this deep socialist regime, is doing everything wrong, and I fear that we're going to get poorer as a result. And you know that because the wealth creators, the entrepreneurs, the business owners, they're fleeing the country in horror at what this Labour government is doing.
The government said that they had been finding some efficiencies after doing a zero-based review. I know your party has said that you want a Doge-style review and to find more efficiencies. What's your reaction?
Well, I was delighted to help educate the Chancellor in the chamber when I said that we've already, in just a matter of weeks, in the 10 councils that we control, we're saving tens and tens and tens of millions of pounds of operational and capital expenditure that's unnecessary. So yeah, we're making great progress on that, and that's what I've said. You know, we can save £5 and 100. I might have been a bit cautious on that based on what we're seeing so far, but the good news is now the scrutiny and the pressure is on us to actually deliver on this, and I think we're going to prove people wrong. I think we're going to produce the savings and actually, but nevertheless, improve the quality of the frontline services. That is a win-win. That's what we try and do at Reform.
One of the big increases in spending was defence going up. NATO has recently said that the target's actually increased to 3.5%. How would Reform pay for increased spending?
Well, that's the one bit actually of this spending review where the government have copied and listened and learned from Reform, because we said in the contract, our manifesto last general election last year, we said you ought to increase defence spending to 2.5% of GDP within 3 years and then 3% in 6. And we talked about how you pay for it by, for example, slashing foreign aid, and the government they've talked about that. So let's make sure they deliver. But of course, the MOD, the Ministry of Defence, is a classic case in point of wasting money badly on procurement. So yes, spend more, but for heaven's sake, let's spend it properly and wisely.
If taxes do have to go up, or do go up in the autumn, where does Reform UK think they should go up?
They shouldn't go up. They should stop wasting money. They should start making massive savings. Happy to help the government produce those savings. For example, scrap net stupid zero, and you can save tens of billions in the first year. One mad example for you. In a hospital in Boston, my constituency, they're spending £20-odd million of taxpayers' cash, ripping out a perfectly good heating system to replace it with a net stupid zero compliance system. That's not going to help patient care one iota. It's outrageous.
Lastly, what's your message today for the government?
Stop wasting cash, spend it smartly, save money, tell the Governor of the Bank of England you don't need to voluntarily pay interest enriching city bankers on the printed money. You don't need to do quantitative tightening that's triggering tens of billions of losses. These are things I've written to the Governor of the Bank of England on. And of course the establishment, they don't like it. But I think the message is spend taxpayers' cash smartly and wisely. Stop wasting it.
Mr. Tice, thank you very much.
Thank you. Cool. All good? Excellent stuff.